Okay, this next lesson is adding and subtracting rational numbers. It's 1-1B. And the first thing I want to do is go over the vocabulary. You had two words, like fractions and unlike fractions. Very quickly, like fractions are fractions with the same denominator. So in other words, like fractions would be like 1/3 and 2/3, or 3/5 and 4/5. Any fractions that have the same denominator are called like fractions. Then you have unlike fractions. Unlike fractions are fractions with different denominators. So for instance, 1/3 and 3/5 would be unlike fractions because the denominators 3 and 5 are different. Or 2/4 and 6/17 would be unlike fractions because the 4 and 17 are different. They have different denominators. So that's in essence the difference between like and unlike fractions. Next I'm going to give you some steps for adding and subtracting like fractions. Okay, so these are steps for, let's get a different color. These are steps for adding like fractions. Okay, step number 1 is you keep the denominator. Keep the denominator. Step number 2, you do the math with the numerators. Step number 3, you put the result over the denominator. And step number 4 is you simplify if necessary. Okay, so those are the 4 steps. You keep the denominator, and these are for like fractions. Remember, the fractions that have the same denominator. So you just keep that denominator. You do the math with the numerators. You put the result over the denominator, and then you simplify if necessary. Those are the 4 steps. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple examples with like fractions. First example, I'm on 1-1B, the homework practice. And the first example I'm going to do is number 2. And it says -3/8 plus -1/8. And the first thing that I like to do is to, whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, is to write it vertically. They usually give it to you horizontally. I like to change it so that it looks like this. In the end, it's going to be easier to work with. So like I said, the denominator in this case, this first step is to keep the denominator, which is 8. So your answer is going to have a denominator of 8. And then second step, you do the math with the numerator. It's very tricky because when they use negatives, you tend to forget to put them in your calculator. So make sure you put negative 3 plus negative 1. And when you do negative 3 plus negative 1, you get negative 4. Okay? Negative 3 plus negative 1 is negative 4. Then third step, you put the, we already did it, you put the your result, which is negative 4, goes over the denominator, and then you simplify as the last step. And we can divide by 4, and you get negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that's your final answer, negative 1/2. Okay, I'm going to do, I have time for one more. Let's do number 4. I think I can actually fit number 4 on this same board. Let's try it. Separate these. So I'm going to write number 4 going vertically the way I told you I like to write it. It's negative 5 over 7 minus 4 over 7. Negative 5 over 7, take away 4 over 7. So again, the denominator is what? 7. So you keep the denominator. Negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. So you get negative 9 over 7. That can't be simplified, so you're done. One thing you could do, though, is change it to a mixed number. As far as I'm concerned, that's correct, but depending on what kind of test you're taking, they might want you to write it as a mixed number. So how do you write negative 9 over 7 as a mixed number? It's simple. You say, I'll show you the long way. It's negative 9 divided by 7. How many times does 7 go into negative 9? Well, the answer is going to be negative. Let's just do it the easy way. Put the negative there first so you don't have to worry about it. 7 goes into 9 one time, and you have a remainder of 2. So your answer is going to be 1 whole. The remainder is 2. That's your numerator, and you keep the same denominator. Okay? So you say 7 goes into 9 one time with 2 left over, and you keep the denominator. And it started out negative, so it has to end up negative. So those are the only two answers. It could be negative 9/7 or negative 1 2/7. They're the same thing. Okay?